All right, I think I'm back. Well, that was not fun. It looks like everything got restarted correctly. So let me just reset up some of my stuff here so that I can make sure that I can see the comments. This is probably dead. And then we'll get back into the Game Boy development. Let's see. Let's go back to this. I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's... I have yet to figure out whether it's the Mac Studio that is having these panic attacks or it is the DAS that is connected to it. I'm just trying to find one more thing for my chat. There we go. So now at least I can... Oh, I need the video ID. Video not available. I guess YouTube doesn't want to play anymore. All right, I will be right back. All right, I think I have everything back up and running again. All right, let's try this again. Let's open up a project. Actually, I'm gonna just do it from right here. Let's refresh this to make sure we have a correct version. Reaper Meta. It's actually a pretty good reminder to back up this entire project. I've been doing an old school way of backing up where I just make a zip file of it each day, I guess. And then what I do have everything under version control, but sometimes I've had some issues restoring GB Studio projects from version control. Let me move all of these into the archive and let's open this guy up and see what I broke. So I was trying to go through and figure out, I think it was this configure editor part. I don't think I needed this. Disable this event. Store select position. We need all that stuff for the selector. All this stuff is good. This, we don't need this anymore. We don't need find exit. We don't need set up enemies. So let me delete this. Delete this. I think for setup enemies though, enable event. What did we have in here? Script find enemies. Enemy init, right. Move actor to test. We don't need this script find enemies anymore. So we're gonna delete this. We don't need that anymore. And script, we don't need any of these anymore. Delete. I'm just going to delete all the references to it. We don't need find exit, delete script, and we don't need find player, delete script and references. All right, let's rebuild this and see if this actually works. And then we will go into trying to figure out how to pass the alive variable into the instance of the C function, and then make sure that we have it actually updating that variable correctly. Just waiting for this guy to build. Maybe it'll build. I don't know. It's weird. Like the initial build of for GB Studio just takes a minute. Okay, everything is still, I'm using like air quotes here, working, because what I'm really just seeing is that this is this is where we left the script up before my server's hard drive decided to crash. We don't need this anymore. What I want to do is open up Visual Studio Code. And I want to open up Chrome because even though I've been getting a lot better with C, at least refreshing my memory of it, I still am using a little bit of ChatGPT to help me get through some of this stuff. Okay, so this is what I was trying to figure out before. So I have this event that I created called Get Brush Tile. And I'm going to move this over here, and let's close this up. And actually, let's just clear this out. We're going to do SSH NAS at studio nas.local. And I'm just going to SSH into this because I don't have Git installed in this computer. So if I want to do some version control stuff, it's going to have to be through SSH into my server. So what I wanted to try to figure out was that here I am trying to just move this stuff over where default value 6. I don't know why there's a default value here. Oh, I think that's just for this here, but this isn't even correct, but whatever, I'm not even going to worry about it. What I'm going to do here is we are going to set this to, I want to figure out how I can actually pull this back in. So I don't remember what I was doing here before, and I think when I was trying to do this earlier, it was giving me some sort of issue. Variable to set to script value, X input Y, which are these things. Get variable, okay. So I don't think I'm getting the variable atlas, which is defined. Okay, I see what I was doing wrong before. Before, when I was like trying to get this to run in the browser, it was giving me an issue. And I think it's because I wasn't pulling in this get variable aliases. So let's see if we can just do this. Declare, add comment. Whoops. Let's pull in this. I don't even know what any of this stuff does. I'm just using my intuition at the moment. Add variable aliases. We're going to copy this over. And then we're going to copy over this. Stack push constant variable aliases temp1 and temp2. What was I not passing even in passing in temp3? Stack pop3. Get brush position. Let's push this to the stack. And then let's push this input X, this is input Y. I'm just trying to remember how I actually am modifying this output. Variable alias input dot output. And then we push the variable alias to the stack, which is here. Okay, and then these were getting passed directly because these are two other variables that are temporary variables that get created. And I think that's all we need to do. So let's do this. Let's save this plugin real quick. And then we're going to go back to GB Studio, which I now have 2 instances of somehow. And let's look at, I need to reload the entire thing. So let's just switch project, save, and we'll pull this up. All right. So now when we come down here, let's close out a bunch of these things. We have this variable here. We need to make sure, I don't know why it keeps defaulting to this. We're going to make this v alive enemies. And I'm going to run this, and I just want to see if it, yeah, see here it crashes. It gives me this compiling event setup map failed with error, reference error, stack push const is not defined. So stack push const. So let's do this here. We need to add this in. I don't know why that gave it an error. I'm actually just going to copy all this over. Actor. Oh, no. I'm missing some of this stuff here. Variable set to script value. Get variable alias. Why is this now expected comma? Oh, I thought I had a comma there. Oh, you know what it was? It was Copilot was giving me a grayed out comment. So it just made it look like there was something there. All right, so this is the biggest issue right now with the JavaScript event companion to a C call, is that you have to reload the entire project in order for this variable to work. So I'm just going to come back down here. It's still saved it as alive enemies. We're going to compile, and it is now telling me that compiler failed with error. Script was not stack neutral. Stack grew by 1. All right, let's talk to ChatGPT at this point. Okay, I need help with my GB Studio plugin. I have a C function, function to set up my level, and I need to pass in a variable for the current number of enemies to update while the level is set up. I have created this event setup map.js, but I'm getting a compile error. Here is the error. What am I doing wrong? And now let's go back here. We'll copy out this error. I just lost my mouse for a second. All right. So basically at this point, what we're going to do is I just need to figure out there's something with the way that C works and the way that this JavaScript stuff works, where it has to like push stuff onto the stack, then it needs to reference it, and then it needs to pop it off the stack, and there's a whole bunch of like minutia that needs to happen. Change the final pop to match 9. That's what it was. All right. So we come back here, and we're going to make this 9. All right. That seemed like a easy enough fix. It's funny. What's its face? Copilot is now telling me, it's smart enough to say that there's 8 actors in one variable. So that's interesting. Let's save this, go back here and reload this project. And now we'll see if this actually works. Or it'll just completely crash on us. There we go. Just making sure that we're setting the correct variable still. Let's configure the editor. I'm just trying to close all this stuff out so it's easier to find. We're passing in live enemies. We're going to compile. Let's look at the build log. And now this should actually work. And while that happens, I'm going to take a drink. Since I've been doing like a ton of React work lately, and I have forgotten how mind-numbing it is to wait for things to compile. Trying to remember, I guess the last time I was really dealing with like a lot of heavy compiling is when I was doing Pixel Vision 8, and that was all in C#. And the more that I keep playing around with GB Studio, the more I keep thinking about how I could revive Pixel Vision 8. All right, that is not good. The only reason this isn't good is because for some reason this is not... This is broken, the logic. What was going on here? Why is this now screwed up? Let's do this. Let's see if we can at least modify alive. We'll set a breakpoint here. Let's see if we can modify the alive enemy counter and go from there. So now, where do we reference this? So I'm going to look at this other one. I was trying to get ChatGPT to do this stuff for me. It's just not good at figuring a lot of this stuff out. So I'm just doing this the old-fashioned way. Function argument 2. This sets the X to Y. This references where the thing is in memory, and then this, I believe, passes back. Function argument 2. All right, I think I need to ask ChatGPT what I need to do. All right, let's see. How can I reference this? Oops. Now, how can I reference this variable and update it when an enemy is placed down? I wonder what broke my tile map logic, but I'm hoping that at least if I can just get this working, then I can go back in and figure that stuff out because I already have code for it. Oh, it is taking its sweet time to think, huh? Grab a pointer to the script variable. All right. Give that a try and let me know. Well, that doesn't help me though. This is our exit enemy, player 1, and let's set this up here. Now how do I return the updated value? What we're going to do here is every time we place an enemy, which is right here, we're just going to do ++ and stop it. Now, while ChatGPT tries to figure that out for me, I'm going to just compile this and see if this will actually still compile. And the answer to that is negative. Unregistered function argument IDX. Before, wait, maybe we can't do this counter like this. Although I think that's still, I think you can still do that in C. Let me recompile and see. No pun intended. Nope. Okay, it doesn't like that at all. Before I had this, I am getting the file of compiler error. Let me see what it was actually doing. Oh, you know what? There's a whole, like, there is something else here that... Oh, let me see if I can find where this is elsewhere in my code. I think it's this is what we actually really need. because I think it's in script. I think it's script memory. Increase your native func count in your plugin folder. Create. Oh, see, here's where it starts going off the rail. Shouldn't we be doing something with script memory? Turn an array in the plugin, set the variable you reference the memory. I'm trying to see what it's thinking through. Yes, once you've popped the variable ID off the stack here in function, you can write directly to the script memory. For example, that stores your brush tile back. So how can we use this to increment the enemies? First, pull out the variable. I thought we did this. All right, I'm gonna do this step by step because in the past, I was trying to have ChatGPT as I'm like, here, just do C stuff. And it didn't know what it would do. It's super confident. It really thinks it knows C, but it doesn't know what it's talking about. Let's see here. Plugin contains warning. Function VM setup map references function argument IDX. All right. Yeah, look at this. This doesn't make any sense. I don't know what ChatGPT's been doing lately. This is just terrible. It's telling me to use this EC++, but there is no EC, nor has it defined it. It only is giving me this here, and this isn't working either. All right, this code is not correct. Let's focus on just getting the... You know what, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we just set up a counter? And then maybe we can just set it back to... Whoops, I don't want Copilot. Maybe I do. Actually, let's leave that open for a second. We'll do a ubyte... alive enemy count to 0, and we're going to do player exit enemies. We'll do ++, and we'll save that there. Let's see if that will actually compile, because maybe what we can do is we can just reference we can just create our own counter, increment that, and just set that back onto the stack. All right, well, that at least compiled. I need to recharge my other mouse. So now let's figure out how we can push this back to the stack. So we come back here and we look at this var ID. Let me see if I can get this to actually give me the placement for this variable. I don't think var ID is used anywhere else in this function. And we're going to use argument 6, argument 7, and this will be argument 8. Please compile. Nope. Why won't it get past this? unreferenced function argument. Do you know why I would be getting this error in my GB Studio plugin code? I am trying to... Oh, look, it's using ChatGPT as well. That's not helpful. All right, let's do this. We'll just add in Paint C, and we'll add in event setup map.js, trying to increment the enemy counter and save it back to the variable passed in. All right, let's see what this has to say for itself. It's not defined anywhere in your code or included headers. In GB Studio's engine, the argument macros like fn arg0 are typically defined up to a certain number, often 7. For 8 arguments, you are trying to use fn argument as a 9th argument, but it does not exist in your environment. Why this happens? The engine's VM argument macro only goes up to 7. Expects 9. You need to reduce the number of arguments to 8 or fewer, or pass the extra data in a different way. Use a global variable or pack multiple variables into... What you should do. Consider if you can remove or combine arguments. How do I access? Nah, I don't want to do a global variable. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I want to actually refactor this into 2 separate things. And let's do this. I want to undo a bunch of this stuff real quick. Get brush tile. Let's move setup here. Let me undo and let me remove this this logic here. Let me undo all of this here. We'll save this and let's rebuild, or let's just reload this project. I think what we're gonna have to do is we're just gonna have to break up the tile map stuff into multiple things. It's just, this is not fun. I need to, yeah, don't, sure, you can save, I don't care. I just want to see if reverting this actually brought me back to the correct tile map logic. Yep, okay, so something was screwy. So I think, so according to Copilot, I'm trying to think of what the name of it was, I'm passing in too many arguments. And I think what I need to figure out is, I think I don't actually need this argument 0. I think I already know what the player ID is, because there is a array of actors here, and player ID is always 0. So if we get rid of this, let's just set player 0 to ubyte, then VM argument 0. Right, this defines the variable as a byte, and then it sets it calls this function. So if we just did this, 0, save this and then rerun it, it's going to automatically move the player for us. Because the player, I think, is always the 0 actor in the array. The other ones are a lot harder to find because they're based on how you put them into the scene. Yep, all right, so that moved the player correctly. So what we're gonna do is we're going to hijack that first parameter. Okay, I have a different approach. I have modified the function to automatically find the player by its 0 index, and I want to use that slot now to pass in the variable without having to make changes for supporting arg8. What should I do in both of these files to make this work? And I'm actually going to go back over to Copilot for a second, just because it has the context here. Let me pass it back over the paint. Oh no, it already has that. All right, let's see what it suggests here. You already heard it. Update. Change the argument 8 to event setup map. Push the variable as the first argument. So in our paint snippet, we are going to, I've already, var ID, here we go. Right, so we already know what the player is. To 0, which is fine. We're going to use this variable here, and then variable alias so let's come back over here, and before we do the native call, we're going to do this, and we need to get rid of this player, and we're going to put this in its place. We actually don't need this either. No, wait, I took too much. We just needed this part here. And we will remove the player here and make it this. Let me know if you want me to make these changes directly. I don't trust you. And then what we need to do here was we needed to bring over this other stuff, right? Don't we need to do, don't we need to call? Yes, of course you do, because why would you be paying attention? That's on me. Push stack. Oh wait, I already did that then. Maybe I already did this. All right, so then we push the stack. Fine. Get variable reference. Variable alias. Get variable alias, which was here, I think. We'll add this here. And I think there was one other thing we needed, the stack push constant. Right, copy this. And we will put that here. And now I'm going to reload GB Studio and see if this actually works. Let's see if this will compile. Because now if we come here, we will see that the variable is now the first thing. And when we go to build it, it doesn't like this at all. Script was not stack neutral, grew by 1. Let me see if I can go in and fix this. This is 7, I think it now needs to be. Switch projects, don't save. And let's rebuild. And it still doesn't like this. Grew by 2. So let me make this 9. Shouldn't really do that though, because, oh, here we go. I need to get rid of this player and move this back down to 8. That's what it was. It was pushing too many of these into the stack, and we weren't accounting for it correctly. So let's redo this. Switch projects, don't save. We didn't change anything. Open this and crash. Let's try that again. And now we'll build this, and let's see if we can get past this part. Doon, 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 doon. All right, so hopefully what this will do now is that we're able to pull that variable off of the stack and then push it into the stack so that we can reference it. Or actually, we're pulling out a reference of it from the JavaScript side. It's giving us, it'll let us pass the ID. Oh my God, I can't even know how to explain it. There's a bunch of stuff going on. It's all magic, and I'm hoping that it's taking this long because it's going to successfully build. We're close. And no cigar. So, warning, a function VM setup unreferenced function argument IDX. Okay. Let's see now here. I am getting this error. Do you know why? Let's add our context to the setup map. Oh, I already did this. I need the paint C. And let's do this. Plugin meta tile. Just spits out lots of stuff. Here's what your error means. Plugin meta tile is based. I don't care about that. Submap was created and still don't care about that. Function VM was set. Oh, here we go. The function VM setup map has an argument of IDX that is not used. This is just a warning. You can safely ignore it or remove the IDX parameter if you do not need it. Error: no such file or directory exists. GB Studio is trying to access a temporary file that doesn't exist. Maybe that's what it was. It was just giving me a build error. Yeah, I've seen this before. I think there's something, I think it's just an issue because I'm building off of my network drive. It just sometimes can't figure out where the tools are. So let's see if this works. All right, so far, so good. I'm a little concerned that it's not calling this breakpoint. Why is it not calling that breakpoint? Oh, I know why, because it's on a group. That's why. All right, here, stop. Good. Luckily, it crashed. Let's set this breakpoint. Let's get rid of this breakpoint, and let's rerun this, and I just want to see the breakpoint. Then, once we know that this compiles and we can hit this breakpoint correctly, we will go back in and... There we go. Because we want to watch this alive enemies, and we want to make sure that this thing is incremented. Okay, so now we have this var ID, and I think, okay, so now how can I increment var ID each time a enemy is placed, and save that value back to GB Studio. To increment the var ID, script memory var ID, that's what I needed. So down here at the very end, we'll just save this. And then, do we have an enemy alive counter? No. So we need to create this enemy alive counter. Then we need to increment it by 1. That's the player, that's the exit. These are our enemies. All right, and now, since we're only doing this in the C side of things, we don't need to actually make any other modifications. We just need to run this. And what I'm hoping is that this is going to, let me look at the build log to make sure this is actually working. What I'm hoping is that it's going to increment this variable, and then it's going to, if we look here, we should see enemies alive equals 2. All right, so now we're cooking. We got these 2 stars. We can now kill our enemies. Ugh, this one just doesn't want to die. And our exit pops up and we're good to go. Okay, so now what we need to do, let's save this. Let's save all this code. We can get rid of this brush thing. We don't need this anymore. And we don't need any of these, this or this. So what I want to do, actually we did need one of those things. Where's that utilities? We need to create platform exit. Okay. What I want to do here is, okay. And they work. What I want to do now is draw the exit tiles to the location where the exit actor is moved. These are the constants for each of the tiles. We need to draw the bottom left at the bottom left position of the exit actor, and then move, and then the rest from there. Let's see what it has to say about that. So, all right, all we need to do is we just need to draw the locked exit to that position. So let's do this. We will copy these things, and when we place down the exit, I'm going to paste this here. I don't know if this is actually going to work. My gut's telling me no. I think there's something going on that I need to fix. I just noticed that it's also trying to paint like empty tiles there. So we'll just go in and try to fix this a little bit. Oh, I should also get rid of that breakpoint. We don't need this. Okay, it drew the exit. And it opens it. All right, we are cooking. Let me just go in, and I think, all right, is there anything else I can remove that is not needed here? Now that the exit is being drawn. I think this replace empty tile thing. Yeah, you can remove the line that clears the tile, right? That's what I wanted. I just wanted to make sure. All right. What We'll rerun this one more time for good luck. And we'll take a look and see what this does for us. All right, so this is feeling a lot cleaner now. What I want to figure out though, whoops. Man, it's like, there's a bunch of issues that are annoying me. One of which is the collision detection is just really off. That song is also annoying me. All right, I think this is good for right now. What I want to do, so I think we're almost at this point where we can start doing the tile map editor. No, it's not drawing these again. I think we need to go through, we need to clean up some of this stuff. So, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a quick break just so I can change my desk around and get my chair. And then we will, we'll see how to actually start working on the tile map editor, which is probably gonna be the bulk of my day. And once I get the tile map editor working and restoring correctly, then it's actually going to be, everything else is in place now. Because I've done, let me double check that for a second. Because it might not actually, well, I don't have the map restore logic in. The idea is that when I want to replay a level, like right now, if I do this and I go to edit, and then I come here and I go to play, it's gonna restart the level, but, let me kill these guys and see if that makes any impact. Let's edit. Let's play. All right, it's actually restoring them. That's interesting. Edit. And we play. I guess that data, that tile map data when I restart is still in there. So basically, in essence, what's going on here and the way that I've set this up, which I think is a lot more clever than how I had it before, is that instead of me just trying to like redraw the entire tile map, I actually just reload the scene. The scene will have the tile map built, and then it'll re-implement the enemies and the exit and all that other stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna take a quick break. Let me change my desk, and then we will focus solely on this tile map editor and get this thing sort of working. All right, I am back and had a quick little snack. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to go back into Visual Studio. Let's CD into volumes, workspace, Jesse, projects, GB Studio, Reaper Boy, meta tiles. And then we're going to do git add all, git status. Let's just see what we did here. All right, git. Let's actually do this before we. Let's just save what our changes are in here. Git, whoops, add all, git commit. And what we're going to do is git commit, and we are going to layout and counter. All right, so now we've backed up our code. We no longer really need to worry about this event setup map. And I'm going to deal with this tile stuff in a second. So if you remember, just before I took the break, what wound up happening was I was using this this switch here. I was at least referencing it, and these are constants. The problem that I'm having is that these, I think at some point I've sort of messed up these constants. So I need to figure out how to correct that. Now, I also am realizing that I'm trying to just think of how we're going to do this. I want to figure out what the issue is right now where I was trying to do the tile map editing and it wasn't working. All right, so if we come back into the editor here, what happens is that I'm placing these tiles down, but they don't appear to be working. I don't know if it's giving me the right tiles or whatnot, and at some point I broke this. So here's what I want to do. I want to go back through and I want to figure out the connection between this and what was going on before. So, I'm trying to just think through what we actually need here and what we don't need here. Because technically we don't need this anymore. And all of these are stored in the header for this. Check platform vertical conflicts, rebuild platform row. Let's start a new chat. We'll close this one out. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. We're going to start a new chat. And I'm trying to figure out why the painter is no longer drawing tile maps. Drawing platforms to the background. I think it may have something to do with changes I accidentally made to the meta tile constants. Can you help me debug what is going on? And let's add in here the tile utilities. We'll add in the tile utility C. And then we have our paint C. So let's give this a test real quick and see what it has to say. All right, so If you accidentally change the values of these constants, the painter logic would break. For example, is 5 and tile player is 20, but your map data uses different values. What to check? Are the meta tile constants in the tile list correct and matching your tile map data? All right, we're gonna get rid of ChatGPT here for a second. And what I want to do is I'm gonna move this over so I have some more space. Let's get rid of this. All right, and now we can switch over to GB Studio just by going over here. Let's see now, what are we missing? So I'm gonna look at the tile map, and the meta tiles are the same. They're 4, 5, and 6. So let's start with platform are still correct. They are left 4, middle 5, and right 6. Is that what you were seeing? Oh, sorry, just looking at the chat now. At some point I broke this. Yeah, I do that a lot, actually. This is actually even worse than anything else I do, because I'm in like, I'm in a visual coding editor. I'm writing JavaScript extensions, and then I'm writing C backends for those extensions, and there's just so much room for error. It's just not fun. Yes, based on your tile and your get tile function returns 1 for any of these uses, which is what the logic supports. However, there's a subtle issue. Tile platform middle is 5, but tile player is 20, and your get tile type returns 5 only for the tile player. In your paint function, this is what it is. This means the painter will only activate if the tile is a player tile. So if you're trying to paint a platform onto an empty tile, this will not work. Solution: if you want to allow the paint platform to empty tile, you should change the check in paint to this. Would you like me to make this change for you? Sure, what do I care? No, I didn't mean it was helpful. I just want you to... no, go. I guess I can't undo that. Yes, make the change. Let's see what it writes. That's super concerning when it's like, hey, we're just gonna go through all your code here. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, actually, this is not, I haven't used this part of Copilot in a long time, so this is actually pretty interesting. The paint function has been updated to allow. So yeah, let's keep this and see what happens. Like, what could possibly go wrong? RubberDuck debugging has been replaced with ChatGPT. Yeah, I definitely use it a lot for RubberDucking. That's like primarily my use case for it. Yeah, so this didn't do anything helpful at all. But I think it did identify where the problem was. So what it really just needs to be is that if it doesn't equal... doesn't equal, I think it's 6 really, because if I'm looking back over at this here, whoa, how did dragging that create an empty file? I think now default empty tile is now 6, and I need to create, I think I need to create like another set of constants for the constants. Oh, yeah, I have a lot of coding experience. I think part of the problem I have is that I try to trust ChatGPT and these other things to do it, and then I have another project I'm working on, and I was using Lovable for it, and I got so frustrated with it because, again, it's just like it just keeps breaking things over and over again. So now I just check it out locally, and I'm just editing it myself because I can't deal with it anymore. But I really want these things to work. I think this might be the example. Like if this actually works, it had a general sense of what the problem was, but it didn't really fix it. And that I think is consistent with all of these sort of vibe coding tools. Or we'll see if I'm the one who, whoops, no, cancel. Nope, I don't know what's going on. This is really strange. Let me see here. Paint platform X, Y. Let me see if I change all these 5s to 6s. I saw another 5 in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create. I have a set of constants that represents the tiles in the meta tile, and then the other is I need a new set of constants to represent the tiles for the brush. Ah, this is so annoying. Okay, let's do this. That didn't work, so I reverted it. Can you help me clean up the tile utils so that I have a set so that it returns new constants for brush tiles mapped to the values currently being returned, and update the tile map editor or the paint function to reference those brush tile constants. All right. I've actually had some really, I mean, I've had good success with brush tile platform. I've had some good success with, actually, I've had great success with a lot of this stuff. It's just frustrating because it's so close to almost working, but when it fails, it just fails miserably. Let's see. I just want to preview all the changes that it's doing. Right, we are creating these. Empty is 0, keep. Sure, let's keep all this and see what it does. All right, I don't think we need to save it. I think it automatically saves. So now, let's restart this. There's so many places where this could have this could break a lot of things. I think the 2 places that I'm looking for right now is I want to make sure, okay, the map, the level editor is now restoring the map correctly still. Let's go into here. Let's draw. Ah, it's still not drawing anything. Why is it not drawing anything? But I can get rid of platforms, right? Okay, I want to see one thing up here too. All right, can you update the setup map function to use the new constants? All right, so this is usually how I handle these kind of problems, is that I'm going to make constants, and these constants allow me to have a, I mean, sort of quote unquote type safe reference to a, to some sort of thing that I'm using, like a magic, well, it's not really a magic string, but a magic number too. Like you can see here, what's happening is that I am hard coding to tile 2 and to tile 3, and I have all these different hard coding things. So I've asked Copilot to now map it back over to these new constants. And the reason why I do this, and why anyone should do this, is that one, if you change one of these numbers like I have done here in order to get the map setup function to work, I've now broken the tile map editor because they were all just referencing numbers. So now if I need to change the numbers around, I'm only changing them on the constants, and I'm not actually breaking anything because I don't have it all hard coded. So let's see if we can keep, this is a lot of, whoa, 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 no, no, no. Do not do that. What did you do? Okay, thank God. I was looking at the Meta Tile 8 plugin, and I'm like, did you just change shit all over there? But no. It's changing in the right places. You can see this is looking for the right tile, the right meta tile, and then it's returning the right brush. Now let's do this. So right now, I want to just confirm that we've been able to remap the level setup to the new constants. And then once we confirm that that still works, then I can move on to fixing the tile map editor. All right, so this appears to still be working. And we can do a quick test too. Let's do this. Let's open up Aseprite. And we're going to open up the meta tile level. And now what I can do is we're going to move this guy here. We're going to move this guy here. And we're going to repair these two tiles. So in essence, this is what the tile map editor needs to do. It's just going to paint out these tiles, and then we will look through each of these tiles in order to figure out where to put things. So now if I come back here and I reload the assets, if I rerun this, now the player should be on the left platform. It should create the exit on the left platform, and it should move the enemy to the middle platform now. And there we go. That actually works really well. And we can bounce off these guys, and we can go to our exit, and good. Okay, so now the real question is, let's start here. Let's go to edit. And this is still going to be broken. There's a lot of things we're going to have to clean up here. I'm just like mentally keeping track of them. All right, yes, I've pressed B. Thank you for reminding me. We'll play this, we'll restart, and then it restarts the level. So I love this mechanic. This is probably one of my favorite game mechanics I've ever made. This just being able to like jump around and try to build up. I'm not doing it right now because it's on the Game Boy hardware and I need to figure out how to, but I'm not building up momentum. But okay, so now what we've done is we can confirm that this works. So let's go back here. I'm kind of curious if we can... Oh, look at you. Look at you. I can pass you to Ollama, and I can use my own stuff. One of the bigger projects I've been working on, which I need to like really start focusing on, but this Game Boy game has been taking up most of my time, is I've been turning my Mac Studio into a AI server and development editing environment, all this stuff, and I have a whole bunch of Ollama. I have a whole bunch of Ollama plugins or models loaded, so I wanted to start switching from using premium models to local ones. But I believe LinkedIn gives me, I think LinkedIn does. They give me free Copilot. Actually, I wonder what happens if we change this to one of these other ones. Okay. Those changes worked, but I am unable to paint platforms still. Can you go back over the... Let me see if I can actually make this bigger. This This might help you guys see what the hell I'm doing. Can you go back over the platform, paint, logic, and figure out why I am not seeing platforms drawn to the background when I paint on empty tiles? Deleting platforms still works, so I'm not sure where I messed things up. Enable access to the latest cloud from Anthropic. Learn more about how. I'll hit enable. Let's see what it does. The function is still checking for brush tile player tiles only, but you want to paint platforms on empty tiles. Let me examine the logic. I found the issue. So yes, let's... Oh, it's still working. I see there's also another issue. The check platform vertical conflict function is still using the old magic number 1. Oh, see, it does call a magic number. I was right. Instead of, I usually refer to them as magic strings, but magic number is right instead of brush tile. All right. I actually think this is figuring this out. It actually seems to be a lot better than ChatGPT. So maybe this is fixing, now that I actually have these constants, I'm hoping that this is fixing all this stuff. Now let me also check and update the move actor to test function that still uses the old magic number. Sure. Perfect. I've now fixed all the issues, and let's keep these changes. Let's come back here and let's rebuild. I'm glad I got Copilot working, or at least, well, I have to get Copilot working on my own dev environment. My dev environment is being hosted on, it's being hosted on my NAS, and, oh wait, now, no, negative Ghost Rider. All right, that didn't appear to fix things, and the brush is giving me an X, meaning something is wrong. Can you temporarily comment out the current code, and let's just do a test to see if we can draw a platform tile into an empty tile position. I need to go back into here for a second and just double check something, because there may be toggle paint tile. Update code display, which doesn't do anything. I'm just trying to see if there's anything in here that I need to pay attention to. All right, let's see what it has to say now. Just places a platform tile onto an empty position. So I think what I'm going to wind up doing is, I think I'm going to wind up moving as much of this logic over to C as I can, because it's way faster than the scripting stuff, and I honestly, I can't keep track of the visuals. I really tried. I really wanted to try, but I can't handle the visual scripting stuff. Let's just, all right, yeah, let's keep this changes. And let's rerun this. Like, I get how this could be appealing to some people, but I can't I can't keep track of this. Especially when I'm going back and forth between the visual coding and the other one. Let's edit. All right, something is still wrong here, and I think this has something to do with let me try doing this real quick. Let's just paint this tile. Disable event. I just want to see if I am somehow messing up because I was doing some sort of test before, and I think see tile exit is I was doing some sort of logical test before. There we go. Okay, so that works. So what I want to do is go back here and restore this. Wait, I don't know why this is happening here. Actually, why can't I go backwards and forward through history? All right, that was the problem the whole time, was that I was doing the check inside of the visual coding stuff, and it was blocking the paint. See how now we can paint tiles. All right, we can't do that because that's where the start goes. And we can't do that because there's a bunch of places where we're not able to draw tiles because we need to have this overlap. But what I want to see now is if we play this, it didn't restore it, and that's fine. Okay, we are on our way to, I don't need you anymore. You've been replaced. So what I want to do now is all right. I have fixed the issue. I was doing a check in GB Studio for the tile and it didn't draw, but now painting is working. I want to move all my logic into this C plugin. Can you help me create a new function that returns the tile ID that would be valid to draw when I move the brush? I'll have GB Studio call this on every move, and I believe I have the base. I have something doing this already and want to clean it up. Let's just see what it has to say. The real place where I'm going to need his help is going in and figuring out how to compress the tile map data, but now let's add the VM wrapper function so GB Studio can call it. I think I'm falling in love with this thing right now. Yeah, I'm trying to set all this stuff up on my own local server so that I can have this, because I am getting tired of paying Lovable to break my code constantly. I mean, it's really good at breaking my code, but it's not really good at fixing it. You can call VB get brush preview tile from GB Studio. This function uses the same logic as your paint function, but instead of actually placing tiles, it returns what ID would be placed. This gives you a clean separation where keep. All right, so now what I wanted to do is now I need a JS event to call in GB Studio for this function. All right, while it figures that out, if we come back over here and we go into our sprites, I need to delete this stupid actor. It like shows up all the time. You see here, we now have this, our selector. It shows us which tile to use. So to create the JavaScript function GB Studio calls, you'll need to create a plugin event file. Let's create the event file for you. Plugins meta tile engine. Let me check the engine JSON to see how functions are currently exported. Let me check if there's any existing assembly files. Perfect. You already have other events. Let me look at one of these to see the correct pattern. Ugh. This is really good. All right, perfect. Now you have a complete GB Studio event that, so we created event get preview brush tile. No valid preview left, which start new power. Example usage in GB Studio. You would use this as an on-update script on your brush cursor to continuously check what tile would be painted and show. No, I have a better idea for that. So let's keep this and let's open up this file. All right, as much as I want you guys to see what's going on, I also want to see what's going on. 1080p is just not conducive to coding. Event get brush tile. So now what I want to figure out is, okay, let's really push this thing and see what it can do. GB Studio, wait, what I need to, okay, let's go here. And, okay. Before I test this out, I want to confirm with you all the tiles that are being previewed based on my actor frames. Oh, it doesn't like that. I have these. Zero is empty. 1 is delete. 2 is, what were they? Oh, I need to, oh no, I see. Left platform, right platform. Okay. Oh, you know what it was? I'm in this selector. This is the one that I have. Okay. I am already starting to call these things. So let's delete this for a second. I don't need it to do anything. I need to go back now and I need to find the logic. Basically, what's supposed to happen is that the brush is supposed to return this. I want to, let's reload this real quick. And let's see if, I just want to see if this will still compile with that new plugin that it created. And then from there, I can figure out how to map the preview tile ID to the cursor's actual, hey, look, it compiled. How nice. All right, let me do this. All right, so we're looking good here. Okay, let me delete this real quick. Let's actually, I want to come back into here. In the game world, I want to go to my sprites, and I want to delete this sprite, and I want to delete this sprite, because these are just confusing me more. If I come back to the game world, I just want to rebuild this and make sure I haven't broken anything. Because now all we need to do is remap the new return tile ID to a state of the selector so we can preview the tile correctly. All right, everything seems to be working. Here's our selector, and we're good to go. Okay, so what I think is happening here, let me do this. Let's look at our selector. Now, it's supposed to, now it was suggesting that I can use this on update, but I don't want to slow down the engine. I actually only want to call this when I move. So if I come back into here and let's do this. Let's insert event before our group. We're going to call this group, rename setup level. And we're going to pass in our setup map actors. We're going to pass in our star setup. We're going to pass in our cloud setup. And we're going to delete this. We don't need this, and we don't need this. All right. Before I go, let me just make sure I didn't break something. Oh, hey. Hello, Rick. Yeah, I've been trying to stream this for the past couple of days, and I've been just slowly making progress. Okay, so now let me come here, and all right, the tile map editor is working. All right, perfect. So now what we need to do is I just got to remember where I put the code, and we'll close this up. So now I have this whole thing here called configure editor, and what is this doing here? Right, v tile map ID is setting to 0. Set the edit mode, fine. Store the A selector position, good. And now here is this. So what I'm doing is that on init for the scene, I'm attaching all the logic to the start button to switch over into edit mode. And it's calling some other scripts. I'll get to that stuff a little bit later, but do I have something here for code picker, display stats, enemy cloud, cursor? I think this is where the logic is. Move cursor. All right, so if we're in paint mode, test how to move the selector, else. All right, I'm trying to like think through all of the stuff that this does. Script tile picker. And in here, this is the problem I have with this visual coding stuff. I don't remember any of this stuff. Like, I don't remember what happens. Test to delete tile. If this is less than 3. I think this was part of the problem. If pressed right. Set the position, true. I also didn't add any notes, so. All right, what's going on here, if I remember correctly, is that this logic is now handling all the looping. So, yeah, that's what it was going on. Because now if I'll just we'll go through this, we'll clean this up. This way I make sure that it's actually working correctly, and then we'll fix the brush preview. So, if we hit start and we go into edit mode, what's supposed to happen is that we can move you see how the cursor will loop around. If we hit up, it's not doing anything because I need to fix that. But if we go down, it should loop. If we go here, you see it says start. And what that just means is that we can define where the start position is. And then if we come down here, now if we hold down select, it's actually going to move by 5 because I wanted it to be a little faster for you to get around, because it just seems cumbersome to do all this editing. All right, so now that I remember what this does, if press right, if select is held, start equals, if selector X equals selector X plus 5, set the variable to 5. Right, this, rename this, move 5 tiles right. And then, yes, I've been adding a lot of comments and notes and stuff because it does become a mess in here. If this is, we're going to the right, if this is less than this, all right, I don't want to actually spend my time too much here cleaning this up. What I want to figure out was where, this is if we do press if left or right, fine. Get the brush tile at position. So every time we move it, we get this brush tile, we get this tile ID, and then okay, this was logic that I never finished, and I think this is what I need to start messing around with. So if we disable this event, I'm going to close this out, and we're going to make a group. Oh, we have a movement here, so we have this. Now what should happen is that the cursor will not change to the X as we go through and paint. And what I need to do now is I need to take the new function that was created to return the tile ID, and just going to map it over to a thing. Okay, cool. So now you see the cursor just shows you that square, and it looks like it'll always look like it's a it's available to paint, but we want to show the preview. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a insert event before, and we're going to, let me look at my tile map editor, and what did it create? Get brush preview tile. Get brush preview tile. All right, so then it's going to give us this thing here. Let's see, we want the set to position, global. I don't think we care about the global. I'm going to set this to G for right now. And we're going to set this property to the actor A's X and property actor A Y. And then, oops. The only other thing I want to do here is let's insert an event before this, and we're going to create a switch. So I didn't realize that they had added switches. Maybe they had it there before, but this is going to be super helpful because what we're going to do is we're going to look at variable G, and based on the ID that it returns, we're going to change the cursor's animation state. So I don't really care about that right now. What I really want to do is I want to set a breakpoint here. I'm going to call this P brush ID. Then this, we'll just leave this as is. Fine, fine, fine. What I need to do now is I need to go back and figure out where this is being used, which is here. And we were calling, was edit mode selected? I think this calls script move cursor, and move cursor is going to pass in Yeah, here it's supposed to pass in the brush ID. It doesn't really have this. I think I do need to use a global just for right now. I'm getting sloppy with these. We'll just use vtemp tile ID for right now. I don't think that really is used anywhere else. All right, I'm just gonna use the breakpoint because I want to see what is being returned now by this function. All right, let's do this, and now when we move, this is gonna get a little weird because it needs to move to the right position, but we're gonna move to the right. And what I want to look at is the variables. Now I'm looking for, let's stretch this out a little bit more. I was looking for temp tile ID is returning 0, which is fine. Although that's actually not fine, because what it really should be returning 0. Let's just go through and I want to see if it actually returns something over. Yeah, it's not, this doesn't appear to be working. Okay. As much as I appreciate that Claude was creating a new event for me, I honestly don't know where the hell it put that event. Get meta tile at position. I think this is what it created. Versus get brush tile, which was really the same thing. Get tile position, VM get brush tile position. If I come here, script memory, we're setting it to get brush tile position. And then on this other one, what was it calling? It calls VM get SRAM tile ID at position, which I don't even know where the hell that is getting called. All right, I think I want to delete this. Wait, where's this function getting called? Meta tiles. Interesting. All right, so Claude decided that it was going to call this function, which is not accurate. What we really need to do is we need to route it through here. So I'm going to do this. Get event meta tile position. I'm going to delete this. Well, actually, before we delete it, let's go back into GB Studio and let's delete it too. So when we move our cursor, we test how to move the cursor, select cursor, blah, 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 blah. All right, good. Then what we need to do is paint tile. Tile. Move cursor. Where would we be calling this again? Selector. XY. Test how to move the selector. Code move. Player mode. Script tile picker. Tile picker. All right, let's disable this for right now, and we're going to re-enable this. And I want to see if this one works like the other one did. Well, I want to see if this one still works. I had this whole like really complicated system where basically I had these like tiers where you either, if you're at the top, you were editing the code that represented the level. If you were in the middle, had a tile picker, and if you're at the bottom, you can actually draw. But I removed that and I created a more contextual tile map editor because I wanted it to be, I didn't want you to have to keep switching between tiles and stuff. So what I didn't see though is V tile map ID. So V tile map ID is going to be 0. And I'm going to keep moving down until I actually get to something. V tile map ID is 1. Okay. So, this is, and now the next one should be 2. Oh no, actually, it's going to always return 1 because it's doing a platform. So, what I want to figure out is that we're going to now need to modify this this function to be the one we're going to use. So let's go in here. I want to delete this because we don't need it. Where the hell is the show in reveal and explorer view? We'll delete this. And we're going to focus solely on this get brush preview tile, which is called right here, VM get brush preview tile. All right. So now we have this function. So wherever you see this VM underscore, what this means is that this is the function in C that we're exposing to JavaScript. This is more of a nomenclature. It doesn't really, or a syntactical sugar thing. It's not really, you don't have to have VM underscore. It's just so that it's cleaner in the code. So basically we know that anything that has VM underscore before it has a corresponding JavaScript event, which in this case is here. Let's make a little bit more room for ourselves. And as you can see, this get brush preview tile, if we look here and we see we have our get brush tile at position, which is just you'll see there's like a way of changing this text in the plugin. We pass it in the selectors X, the selectors Y, and then we look for, and then the variable we pass in is this V tile map ID. And when we come back in here, you'll see get brush preview title, which is tile, which is what the label says. These are our variables, and then we call in this brush preview after we push all of these variables to the stack. Now, the place where we need to work on our code is going to be right here. All right, so all right. I want to focus on making this function return the preview brush tile or ID for the selector actor. I'm making this function return. And before we do this, since I just deleted that other event, let's save our work here. Let's reload this up and make sure that we just haven't broken anything. Anytime you change anything in the JavaScript side of these plugins, you have to completely reload the editor. Well, you have to completely reload your project. So that's why I do the switch project and then go to that. All right, we come back here into our editor. It's going to keep doing this because we haven't removed the breakpoint, which is fine. So what we want is that when we have this return 0, we're going to switch to a preview that shows you 2 tiles that you can draw a platform. Now, what I want to make sure we do is that we got to make sure that there are some rules around. You can't draw one platform directly on top of another platform. So if that's the case, we want to make sure that it's also taking into account those rules. I want to abstract out the platform drawing logic in a way that this function can use some of the rules to determine if a platform can be drawn. So let's do something here. When we call tile picker, we want to now do this. We're going to have this switch. We're going to go through V tile map ID, right? And there are, let's look at our sprites. Let's look at our selector. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible outcomes. And if we look at each of these, like this is what delete looks like, this is the enemy, this is this, blah, 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 blah. We can go on and on and on. Because we can do tile left or right. There should be one that's a new platform, right? And then player. Okay. What we need to actually do is there's one other one I want to create, which is enemy rename enemy left. And can I copy this? Whatever, we'll just make a new one. Where did it create that? New state. Rename, we're going to call this enemy right. And so we'll copy this frame out of here. So what I did was just to give it a little bit more of a delay, especially because we're going to run into some like layering issues. This is going to show you the tile and then blink for a second, and then show you the renderer. So like this is basically what's happening. So I just added 2 frames to make it stay around a little bit longer. What I'm trying to do is copy this, and I want to see if I can paste this in here, which I can. And now when we go to enemy left, we are just going to flip it to the left and flip it to the left. Okay. So use some of the rules to determine the platform could be drawn. There are 1, 2. I'm trying to think of what would be used here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 animation states for the selector. Default, delete, we have default, we have delete, we have enemy left, enemy right. Hold on a second. All right. We have enemy left, enemy right, new platform, platform center, platform left, platform right, and player. So, for example, if there is a valid empty tile where a platform can be created, it should return a ID I can use to set the right animation. But you shouldn't be able to draw one platform on top of another, or if you are drawing a platform on the left or right of an existing platform, it should return its own number to preview the change. Can you help me set up a clean system for this? And we can use constants to help. All right. Let's just see what it has to say. I want to see what it suggests, but long story short is that what we really need to do is we need to have one consistent rule engine inside of the tile map editor that decides whether what you can actually draw and whether you can what you can actually draw and then what the state of that will be. So now let's create a helper function to abstract the platform drawing logic. I'm getting concerned when it starts doing a lot of this stuff. But luckily we can just sort of go back and undo this if we need to. Now let's completely, while it does this, git status, git add all, git commit. What did we change before? Oh, git commit fixed issue with drawing. All right, I just wanted to make sure I saved this code before we let Claude just go wild on it. All right, now when you call the get brush preview tile event, you'll get back a number 0 through 8 that corresponds to which animated frame to show in your selected actor. This gives you a much cleaner, more intuitive system. All right, let's keep all these changes and let's see what it has to say for itself. We'll come back here. Let's go to our world for a second. And come on, we can build this. Yeah, I did not like any of that. God, who would have guessed that it would have broken all of this stuff? I am now getting the following errors. I need you to help fix. Wait, why did it update this? Maybe it's just looking at it. All right, let's see what is going on here. All right, let me fix these by reordering the functions. Okay. It always like amazes me when it's like here, I made all these changes, but it didn't look to verify that the changes actually didn't conflict with something else. Although maybe I should have just prompted it a little bit better to be like, hey, don't break any existing code and blah, 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 blah. That's a whole other project I'm working on to help you write better prompts. I have so many projects I'm working on now, but I really want to get, I'm hoping this weekend is the end of this Game Boy one. At least I don't have sound. I need to go find someone who can help me do sound. I also see there's like a bunch of really good sound packs on itch, so I might just wind up buying one of those. Try building again and let me know if there's any remaining issues. I will. Let's come here. Let's try building. No compiler command for event. It seems to be working. All right. Well, at least the tile map editor stuff, the initializing the tile map editor works. Let's come here. This is going to be a little annoying. Well, actually, what this should be returning right now is if we look at our v tile map ID, it should be returning 0. Let's see, or it should be returning something. So let's keep going down until we get to a place. Like right now, it should have returned a different number. And the question I have is, am I actually calling this V tile map ID? V tile map ID. If I go to the right, okay, it gives me 1. So I don't think it actually did anything. Where is this function? Can get platform placement. Actually, you know what I should have done? Let me do this real quick. Let me get rid of this breakpoint. Let's see if we can actually still just draw the platforms. There's a lot of rules around these platforms, and again, this is all going back to, I'm really trying to make this. I've never seen a Game Boy game that lets you share a code and have its own level editor. So the whole idea is that when you come into this area here, all of these numbers that are there are quadrants that I'm keeping track of in order to figure out the compression code. So that's why they sort of change value, as you can see. And then this code at the top is going to be the code you share with someone else in order to rebuild the level. So what I'm not seeing here is this ID being returned or changed, which should just be, let me do this here. Let's just look at watched. Okay. I'm looking for the tilemap ID. We're going to watch this. And as we move around, whoops, I don't know what I'm doing there. See, it's returning 1, telling me that I can draw a platform there. I wonder what 6 is. I don't know what. I think this might be just screwing up the yeah, 066666. Okay. So what we really need this ID to be returning is we need to be returning an ID that I can now change the preview for. So I'm looking for, here we call get brush tile at position. Now, I did notice one thing. It did make a change to the JavaScript event. So let me just reload this for sanity's sake and just make sure that there isn't anything that got screwed up. Cool. I like it when it loads up and crashes right away. At least it just saves me the time for it crashing while I'm doing something. Rerun this. But yeah, I'm hoping that this is a first. This is my problem too, is I can't just do something normal. I always have to do like the most complicated version of something. So since I've seen Game Boy games that have level editors, but they're very primitive. They don't let you share, and a lot of them didn't even have memory. So when you turn the game off, it would actually just like, you'd lose all your changes. You'd have to restart the Game Boy again, which I don't understand why they'd even bother. Putting a tile map editor in the first place. All right, let's see what we got here. Same issue. Nothing has changed. Okay. So now I want to look at rebuild platform row, paint, delete, VM paint, delete, get brush preview tile. And then, oops, we don't need that there. Here is our logic. All right. I'm just going to do a really quick test. I want to see that it will always return this. Because this is 8, and I'll explain why this is important in a minute. Let's go here and let's just see if this value is 8 every single time. I think the only map editor I can think of for Game Boy Color was Motocross Maniacs 2. Did Motocross actually have one? There's another Game Boy project I want to work on. Miko, who I'm using his plugin here for the Metatile stuff, he did a remake of Mario Brothers, and I really want to do a Mario Maker, a deconstructed Mario Maker for the Game Boy, using his engine, but similar to how Excitebike worked, where you had like sections of the map and then you just gave it a hex code for each section, because there's no way you can store all that data. I mean, you can store it, but you can't share it. So I'm very interested in being able to share these as codes, like Game Genie codes. What I want to see now is this is returning. Why is this returning? What is this function calling? Tile picker. We're calling this here. Get brush tile at position. Disable event at selector X, selector Y. First off, this should actually just be property actor AX, property actor tile Y. All right. Let me. There's a bunch of like. Oh no, it does not like that at all, huh? Oh no, that was just the regular tool issue. Why is it giving me? This might be part of the problem. Huh. It doesn't like doing it that way, that's for sure. I've been having a lot of weird issues with where it doesn't, if you have a script that calls another script, it doesn't always read the properties of an actor correctly. So I have to wind up doing stuff like this where I have to just like shove stuff into variables. V tile map editor. Okay. I'm just going back through and I'm just trying to like walk back through and remember like where this is actually being generated, because Claude is giving me some other answer that it's fixed everything, and I don't know what it's actually fixing. Let's see here, edit, and this should now restore it back to how it was before, where we have 0, 6, and then we have 1. Okay. So what's concerning me now is that get brush preview. Actually, we can get rid of this. Normally I don't, that was like a test, that was some test function that I had created, and normally I don't really care about deleting all this stuff, but early on I was running out of memory because my scripts were getting too large for the bank that it was being stored in. So I just want to make sure I remove this stuff. Event test position will delete this, delete permanently, and let me just restart GB Studio to remove that plugin from memory and rebuild just to make sure I didn't break anything. It's just tedious. I mean, luckily this is not as tedious as building an actual Game Boy game, especially back in the day when there was no dev kits or a C compiler for it and people just did this in assembly. I need to look up this Motocross Madness 2, Maniacs 2. I think I have the first game somewhere in my game collection, but all right, that's still working. Everything is working. I was just looking at my Game Boy collection is here. I think I have it in storage, but I'm surrounded by all kinds of fun games on my shelves. Whoops, I should probably do that the original way. All my original games still in the boxes. Let me block this person real quick. All right. I gotta actually sit down one day and figure out how to. The reporting someone for spam. It's so annoying. The old Pokemon games. I don't think I have any original Pokemon games, but I have a ton of a lot. I don't have a lot of them on display here. More of them are in my office, but I have so many great games. Colonization, which is a favorite of mine, still new, unopened in the box. A lot of these I just had to recollect because I got rid of them years ago, or I just didn't have them in the box. So there was a good couple of years where I was just going through and rebuilding my game collection. All right, let's get back to this. Now, what I'm curious about is I want to see, let's just have this return 3 and not even call this function. I want to make sure I'm actually calling the right function, because get brush preview tile, VM get brush preview tile. I'm not seeing a promising result that it actually. Siri bot. All right, I will make a note of that. No. Oh, that just activated my phone. Stupid AI. Let me make a note of that. Actually, I need to go through and notes, or actually, I'll make this a task reminder. I need to go through and set up the rest of this stuff because I don't have the bot management stuff. I don't have any fancy effects when people do things. I've been a little bit lazy on that. Set up 6box. Okay. Added that to my to-do list for today. Now back here, I want to rerun this, and I'm hoping that I should be seeing 3 as the return value. I'm just trying to confirm that this function is actually doing something, because Claude thinks that it's doing something, but I'm not seeing that. That or this variable is being, yeah, see what is going on here, and why is this not working? Move cursor, code mode, script code picker, direction is down. Oh, okay, all right, that's a whole other story. Oh my god, I really overcomplicated this when I started it out. I really have to sit down and clean this stuff up. I'm gonna take a break in a little bit and do some lunch, and then I'll come back this afternoon and do some more streaming. And then I think it's probably actually what I need to do is I need to clean up all this mode garbage that I had in there. Let's see if we can get a little bit of that done right now. Thanks. Good luck with your sleep. I think I'm gonna head out soon anyways for lunch, but let's see. But today and tomorrow I plan on streaming, and then that should be, I'm hoping, the end of it. All right, I'm gonna go in here. I want to just double check what I'm attaching. So wait, enable. Oh right, okay. I can delete this. We don't need this. This is attach the script to the right button. Script move cursor. If we do down, we move cursor. We can get rid of this display, delete this. If we move left, we can delete this. And we're calling the move script, move cursor left. We can open this up. and we can delete this. And B, I don't have anything for yet, so we'll still leave this at B. But the big thing right now is we are going to look into this call script move cursor. So script move cursor. And this is where a bunch of the problems are happening. So script tile picker. Player mode. I'm going to disable this event. We're going to disable this event and test how to move selector. Actually, I'm going to disable a lot of these things real quick. What we're just going to do is paint mode, V selector. What is this? V selector move C edit paint. Oh, that's a constant. All right, let's see if we can move the player, and then we're gonna look at this tile picker thing. Because what I want to do is remove the complexity here. All right, well that didn't do anything because I don't think. Let me re-enable all these, and we'll just do this piece by piece. And there's just this logic that's in place that when you, based on how you're moving up and down on the tile map editor, that represented what mode you were in. Like you can see here, I go here, it says start, and then code isn't working, but I am going to remove this logic for starts. Let's see, where am I? Call script code picker. Test how to move the selector. I'm going to remove this, and well, let's just disable this event and see what happens. Yeah, since this is all from like early code early code prototypes, it's just sort of sloppy. I wish there was an easier way of doing this, but there really isn't. So, all right, so that one actually seemed to be important. So let's get rid of that. Let me see what's going on here. Script code picker, actor. So what we're doing is we're testing to see if the set position, p set position equals true. A selector set position 2. We're moving the selector here. A selector set movement speed to 2. Selector move to. All right. I think the problem is I'm starting to fade because I don't have lunch in me and I need to eat and I can't focus. So I'm going to stop the stream for now. I will be back, I don't know, maybe around like 12:30, 1-ish. And then we will continue and I'll just rebuild this tile map editor. Luckily we have a lot of the code already existing. I just need to clean up the way that it all works. So, all right, thanks for watching so far, and I will see you later this afternoon.